Hey guys, it's Landon from the Snap Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm your host today, and I'm here to help you out with any of your start-sit questions. We're talking about playoffs. Week 1, Brad. Anytime I see Brad's name in there, I'm just going to ignore it. Brad? No, I'm kidding. He's ready for the the Listener League play. It should be a fun week, guys. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for hanging out with the live. I'll be in here as long as there's questions. I've got both of my co-hosts in my ears to help me out with anything going on. We've got questions on YouTube we still need to answer. We've got questions on Twitter we need to answer. So all that stuff will happen today. If somebody in my ear wants to post on our Instagram live or our story modes, just to share it, that would helpful as well. We've got some news. I'll go through the news really quickly. We did do a podcast this morning, so if you need to catch up on that kind of stuff, make sure to download our podcast. David Johnson has been placed on IR, so Duke Johnson is in play this week. I know to everyone that no one wants to rely on Duke, especially after kind of what he's done for us, kind of assuming that he was going to be good and going to be back. So Duke Johnson right now, I think he's a fringe flex play for me. He's a top 40 running back. To consider him between like him and Peyton Barber and potentially Adrian Peterson is right in that range. So if you're in any kind of PPR league, I think Duke Johnson is in play. However, the matchup isn't great against Chicago, so you need to, if you have other options, which hopefully you do if you're in the playoffs, I would probably go to that. More news, Kenny Golladay is out, so Marvin Jones is a great play against Green Bay. Deebo Samuel will play. Zeke Elliott, questionable, but is expected to play. Jonnu Smith is good to go for Week 14. We talked about him on the podcast, and he is very much a touchdown-dependent player as it is. Ferkser is going to be active in that game as well, so they're probably going to split some tight end time, especially if Jonnu isn't 100%. DJ Moore is out. You should fire up all of your Robbie Anderson shares this weekend. Curtis Samuel is also a play. He was used all over the field because Christian McCaffrey is out again or doubtful to play. Curtis Samuel will get some work in the backfield, will get some work in the slot, wide receiver, kind of everywhere. He's going to be used, although it's not a safe floor play for Curtis Samuel. I believe the ceiling is very high for him, kind of in lieu of Christian McCaffrey. Mike Davis is now presenting himself as a pretty safe play in pretty much all formats. So if you had McCaffrey and hopefully you have Mike Davis, you can definitely start him in there as well. I'm going to get to some of this YouTube chat. What's going on, guys? Mackenzie, you're asking if you should start Kyler Murray. No, you should. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, start Kyler Murray. Come on, my man. Brad. So choose two. He's got Deebo Samuel, Patrick. So I assume that's Tim Patrick. Gage, AP. Do your part in the Major Listener League upset. Yeah, I mean, so I would definitely go Deebo number 1. I still have confidence in Deebo. We haven't seen Deebo and Ayuk be productive, like ultra productive together on the field, Brad, but I still think he lends himself to being good. So the Russell Gage question is interesting with Julio out. They don't really play the same role. So the Falcons came out and said kind of their backups. And Gage is a backup for Calvin Ridley. So once Calvin Ridley's out, then you see Gage having those big games. AP gives himself, oh man, I don't want to suggest AP to anyone, especially when Scott is determining whether he's going to play him this week. I think Deebo and Tim Patrick are kind of the plays, Brad. Let me know if that's where you're leaning. I'm not ultra confident in Russell Gage and AP. If we have, looks like my video's a little bit frozen. If we have Deandre Swift in, I think it's going to be a bit of a timeshare in Detroit, to be honest. DeAndre Swift is going to be a high upside play based on efficiency. AP will get work. He could easily get goal line work. I'm expecting the Packers to give up a touchdown to the running back. It's just whether AP is going to get the opportunity or not. That's the big question in my mind. Brad, well, with CMC on the back burner, I'm just sitting here as a good spectator watching everything unfold. Yep, I feel you. Larry Kane back in the house. What's up, Larry? Yes, CMC dead, fam. He might be out rest of season. It's tough to say. We talked to a lot of people about CMC over the course of many, many weeks when we had our video about CMC. And mostly it was, you need to take on the risk that CMC is not going to play rest of season. It looked good. He almost played last week, and then this tight thigh. It's tough to see, but the Carolina Panthers aren't in the playoffs anymore. There's really no need for them to bring him back. That's the same for Joe Mixon. That's the same for Kenny Golladay. I hate it because I have all of those players. I have all those players on my teams, but I need to prepare for the worst and prepare that I'm not going to have them on my teams going forward. Despite that, we're going to try to help you win championships just like I'm going to in those exact leagues, despite what Scotty is hoping for. Crow Warrior King or Princess Consuela Banana Hammock? Really tough question, Brad. I'm going to go with Princess Consuela Banana Hammock. No question. Absolutely no question. That was a silly question, Matt or Brad. You knew the answer already. Griffin been joining some random leagues, trying out some draft strategies. Man, James Robinson has gone in the first or second round in all of them. That's very interesting, Griffin. I haven't really dabbled in anything going forward for next year. We're going to be doing a ton of really good rookie videos. We're talking rookies like crazy. And if I have time today, I'm going to preview some of the rookies. I know Mac is excited for them. I think he's getting super excited because he has a pile of rookie draft picks for next year. So he might get more over my level. And if you guys know me, you know how excited I get about rookies. Mac might surpass me. This guy is going to be jacked up. We're talking Devontae Smith, Jamar Chase. That's the name I was trying to think of, Jamar Chase. Travis Etienne. There's going to be some good ones, guys. Mark Coxwell, he's in the chat again. Oh, I should comment on Griffin talking about it. Yeah, James Robinson has been great. Getting that kind of volume in an offense is crazy. He's getting 90+% of the volume in Jacksonville. He's been a league winner this year. We thought Kyler Murray, hence our thumbnail, was a league winner where he was going drafted, but it's probably not the case. James Robinson, I probably won't be drafting much next year, to be honest, especially at that price tag, Griffin. So, yeah, I probably won't have any James Robinson on my team. The undrafted free agent rookies that kind of come in and ball out just don't really do it for me. I'm a sucker for draft capital. The DeAndre Swift, the J.K. Dobbins, Jonathan Taylors of the world. Those are the guys that I'm going to rely on next year in my drafts. So, Mark Coxwell, he started Cam Akers Thursday night. Awesome. Congrats, my dude. Need some more. One more running back. He's got Zeke, Gaskin, or Dobbins. Could flex Robbie Anderson with Ridley and Thielen at IR. I think Robbie Anderson's a great play. Did you mention the scoring format, Mark? It doesn't really matter, but if you're in a half or full PPR, that gets you to starting Robbie Anderson a little bit easier. I think the play is Zeke in that option. I do have Zeke playing against Mac. I've got Zeke playing against me this week, but I still think he has a pretty good matchup against Cincinnati. He was questionable going into this game. Like I said, he's expected to play. We could see some more Tony Pollard action in this game if Zeke is indeed banged up. Gaskin and Dobbins present a ton of upside. Gaskin is pretty much by himself in that backfield in Miami, but they play the Kansas City Chiefs. Not the best matchup. I'm just going to check my rankings here. I think Gaskin's in a good spot, but I do have Zeke Elliott higher. Your other option, J.K. Dobbins against Cleveland, is great, and I love the upside. We've talked about J.K. Dobbins a ton, but he was only getting a 30-40% market target share or snap share in that backfield. That's not what we want from J.K. Dobbins. It's hard to predict him getting that Cam Akers workload that he got. So I would stay away from, even though you have a really safe starter with Akers at the helm, I would not go with Dobbins this week just based on his, you don't need a high upside, high floor guy. If you had a guy like Darrell Henderson that busted, maybe Dobbins is in play because he has that 25-point upside. But because you had a 20-point performance from Akers, you go with the safe guy. Maybe Gaskin is your safest play, honestly, Mark. Zeke is very safe as well. Like I said, he's highest in my rankings this week. But based on if you're concerned about his injury at all, that's the only reason to go towards Gaskin. So thanks for the question, Mark. Make sure you guys like this video. I haven't liked this video yet. I'm going to do that. We have 11 people watching. I hope everyone's having a great Saturday morning. I'm up here grinding with you, trying to help you win your fantasy matchups. If you're new to the channel, if you're coming in from Twitter, make sure to like and subscribe. I'm 100% going to get to your question. I'm going to stay as long as I need to today. You know, I could spend all day, all Saturday, hanging out with my friends on YouTube, and we're going to have a good time. So that's Dynasty Leagues, Griffin. All right, Swift or Jacobs PPR Dynasty. I would go Swift over Jacobs in PPR in Dynasty. I talked to Mac yesterday about it. He had, or on Thursday, I guess, he had a trade to acquire Josh Jacobs in Dynasty. And I kind of talked him off that ledge. The trade included Cam Akers. And I'm just not that big into Josh Jacobs going forward as a whole Dynasty. I know he very well could be great next year. He's going to get the volume. I just think there's a lot of upside with these rookies coming in. And Josh Jacobs has had to rely on volume. He hasn't been a super efficient running back, and that's kind of going off my memory based on what I've seen this year. But yeah, that's kind of I would prefer Deandre Swift. A rest of season, if both are healthy, I mean Josh Jacobs, you got to rely on on what he's done in the volume. So rest of season, I'd probably go Josh Jacobs, but in Dynasty, I would go Swift. Mason, what is up, bro? He's got Herbert, Tannehill, or Murray. Oh, man. I talked about this with Mac, and it's a good thing I talked to him about it because otherwise it would have been a nightmare. I would go Justin Herbert for a bounce-back week. I know the New England Patriots really destroyed him and hopefully didn't destroy his soul and his confidence. I think he's going to keep chucking the ball downfield. Bill Belichick, of any quarterback on earth, takes advantage of rookie quarterbacks. He knows what grinds their gears and gets them flustered and all that stuff. Technically, my rankings would have Tannehill higher, but the chance of a Derrick Henry game, I believe, is higher than a chance of Austin Eckler taking all the carries. I think Austin Eckler is going to get a bunch out of the backfield. Atlanta's defense has looked better as of late, but Jacksonville has been also decent. The game script for Jacksonville needs to be for them to score at will, just like Baker Mayfield did last week. So if you're expecting Jacksonville, led by Mike Lennon and DJ Chark, Scott's favorite wide receiver, DJ Chark, can have a massive game, then I think that leads Tannehill to have a better game. But I do believe that the LA Chargers defense is going to give up more to the Atlanta Falcons, and it should be a bit more of a shootout. Justin Herbert and the Chargers are not going to give up. Their coach is fighting for a job this week. I think they're going to be very prepared against the Atlanta Falcons. Justin Herbert may have rode your bench all along because you had Kyler Murray, but I think Justin Herbert's had a phenomenal rookie season, and he has the most upside on that option, where I think Tannehill might be your safest floor play. So that's my long-winded analysis on those three quarterbacks. It's tough to sit Kyler Murray, but I would sit him in this option. Larry Kane, would you roll out Baker this week over Lamar? I would not. I would roll out Lamar Jackson this week over Baker Mayfield. Even though Baker had a great game, I'm still riding with Lamar. Aiden, Tobin, what is going on, my dude? Hopefully you liked the video. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. He's got Wayne Gallman, James Conner, or Raheem Mostert. The one out of those options is going to be Wayne Gallman. Say that again, Mac? Okay. Totally. So Aiden's giving me some context here. So, and to be honest, yeah, I think the one non-name out of that list is Wayne Gallman, and I would absolutely start Wayne Gallman as a locked and loaded start this week. Mostert, we thought coming back he would get the majority of the snap share, but now you have Tevin Coleman back healthy. You still have Jerick McKinnon. You have Jeff Wilson Jr. getting way too much play out of those guys. And as long as we need to monitor the James Conner practice reports. He should be back. I know he said he wanted to play. I haven't seen any news about James Conner. And if we think he's back 100%, it's going to be Wayne Gallman and James Conner for me. Mostert has a ton of upside, and if you're behind in that matchup and you need something big, if your opponent had Cam Akers, you could definitely go with Raheem, because we can see him take anything to the house, any carry to the house, 30 yards to the end zone, no problem. 60 yards to the end zone. Raheem Mostert has done that before he was injured. And yeah, so I would go with Gallman because of the volume, James Conner because of the snap share. So Mac has some 2021 rankings. See, I knew this guy was jacked for the rookies next year. Griffin, I really want to start Jefferson, but I've got Diggs, Mike Thomas, and A.J. Brown. Hey, depends on, Jefferson presents a ton of upside. To think he presents more upside than Mike Thomas is not completely out of the realm of possibilities, honestly, against the Philadelphia Eagles led by the rookie quarterback Jalen Hurts, who we featured last week on our channel. Jefferson has more upside. I know Mike Thomas is who he is, and he's a great wide receiver, but depends on what you need, though. Taysom Hill, if anyone, he targets Mike Thomas. So, yeah, this week in my rankings, I have, start Justin Herbert or Justin Jefferson. I've got him over those guys right now. Stephon Diggs plays Pittsburgh. It's not a great matchup. So, yeah, my dude, I would go with... So I have A.J. Brown the highest, but then I've got Jefferson and Diggs. So, yeah, my first instinct was right, and you can sit down Michael Thomas if you want, Griffin. But if you want to stick with your gut and just stick with your studs, go ahead and do that. Mike, what is going on, dude? Hopefully you like the stream. I haven't seen your name here before, so like the channel and subscribe if you're around. Mike Fernandez is going Herbert or Brady since Julio was out for Atlanta. I'm not sure what exactly that matters that Julio's out for Atlanta, but I guess it presents a different game script for Herbert. I still think the Atlanta Falcons will score without Julio, and I like Herbert this week. The Tom Brady versus the Minnesota Vikings is a good matchup as well, but I would go Herbert for the upside, and I would go Tom Brady for the floor. I've got Justin Herbert higher in my rankings right now, so that's what I would do. Go with Herbert. I think he does have a big bounce back week. I know it's tough after that bust of a week versus Bill Belichick, but thanks for the rankings. We've got Etienne, Harris, Hubbard, Gainwell. We've got Jamar Chase, Smith, Jalen Waddle, Moore, and Bateman. Love that. Swift is somebody I'm really hype about, Griffin. I agree, man. I'm all about that. Larry Kane, would you roll out Baker this week over Lamar? No, I would not, my dude. I would not. I would not. We got Griffin asking, Parker or Marvin Jones in a PPR league? That's the battle Scotty and I have this week. Devontae Parker or Marvin Jones. And to be honest, although I like the talent of Devontae Parker, he's not as good with Tua, and I think it does lead for a good game script, but I would go with Marvin Jones Jr. over Devontae Parker. It's not by a ton, but it's very close. I think the game script for Marvin Jones is better versus Green Bay. Now, the corners on Green Bay, Mac would attest, are very, very good. And it's possible that they shut down Marvin Jones really as their only viable wide receiver. The other pass catcher would be TJ Hawkinson. So, but the Kansas City Chiefs, I hope it's a really good game script for Tua to kind of let it loose and target Devontae Parker. We all know that Devontae gets 2, 3, or 4 goal line, red zone targets. As long as Tua can learn how to throw those for once. It seems like Parker's always not in the right position to where Tua's throwing. So they need to get on the same page there. But Parker's going to get goal line opportunities, but it's no secret that he gets targeted in the end zone. So my gut says Marvin Jones Jr. in that one, Griffin. But I love Devontae Parker. I hope he has a massive week. Right, Scott? Right. So Griffin's just up here at the clinic letting dogs out and going over treatment plans. Always good to have some fantasy talk. Yo, Griffin, my girlfriend is in vet school, my dude. I'm sure you already know that. You're in school for vet nursing. That's really cool. So nice for that. We glad to hear. We love animals on this podcast, my man. We love animals. Good luck in vet nursing school. Aiden, he played Cam Akers. Yeah, but I think I have enough boom chance with DK, Chubb, Jefferson, Scary Terry. Yeah, you do have enough for there. I think DK Metcalf is in for a massive week. He has a rookie corner going against him, and you better believe that Russell Wilson knows that he has a rookie corner against him this week. I don't think any corner can really shut down DK Metcalf, so I'm ready for that big blow up. So you have a great team there, pal. Phantom Gaming, what's going on? Which defense do we go with? I've got a defense question. Ravens versus Browns or Cardinals versus Giants? I would probably go with the Ravens versus Browns, even though that Baker Mayfield had a really good game against the Tennessee Titans last week. I think the Browns have a chance to, or the Ravens, have a chance to really get after Baker. He is known to take sacks. He's known to take interceptions. And the Ravens had a tough matchup this past week. So I think they have a chance now to really, I think it's amazing after a team has a really tough matchup and then they go against a lesser team, how good they look in comparison. So I think the Ravens have a chance to really show out and get after Baker. I would go with the Ravens this week. Cardinals are a good spot. They can get after the quarterback as well. But Wayne Gallman is probably going to get the majority of those carries. I guess there's a chance that it's going to be the Chubb show as well and Kareem Hunt. But I think that the Ravens should be able to score quite a bit, and that they will have to force Baker to throw, which leads to the sacks and interceptions. That's kind of the game script you want that to happen. Shades721, what is going on, buddy? Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new. We've got 17 people watching. This is awesome. You guys are hanging out with me on a Saturday morning, answering some start-sit questions. I'll get to every single question. I'm pretty much all caught up, so I can hang out in the chat talking to you one-to-one. He's got Rojo, Jay Taylor, Zeke, Mostert, or Gaskin. Need 2 in a standard league. That's tricky. So I do think Zeke is probably the start for sure. I know it's not a super confidence-inducing start. Zeke hasn't been himself. He hasn't been able to break the slate as it was in previous years, putting up 25 points consistently. But I do have Zeke still against Cincinnati as my top option out of there. Right behind him, I'm hoping here, and I'm projecting that Jonathan Taylor has the workload that we're hoping for. So I would go Taylor next in that ranking. If you're looking for a floor play, I do think that Ronald Jones is the next one up against Minnesota. Minnesota can't really stop anyone, but the other two guys have good matchups. So my rankings would say Zeke, Taylor, Rojo as my plays. But if you want to sit down Taylor, I think he has the best chance of having a a snap share that's less than the other two. So Rojo and Zeke are going to have a safer snap share, where Taylor is a little less safe. He could have a 60-70% snap share. It just hasn't happened in a while, and it could be a Naheem Hines game for some reason. So yeah, that's kind of where I would go. If you're going to go pure upside, best possible opportunities, I'm going Taylor and Zeke. And then I do think Rojo is the lead back, despite any love for that's Shades. That's what I would do. Gaskin is a great play as well, but he just isn't. I know a lot of people are playing Gaskin this week. I just don't think, based on your other options, I could go with Gaskin. Mac is saying Hawkinson is the best receiving play for the Lions. Won't meet with Jair Alexander much. Exactly. Where Marvin Jones Jr. will meet with Jair Alexander, and he's one of the best corners in the league. Hawk can be in stealing drafts too. Everyone is going Waller, Kittle, Kelsey. Able to snag Hawk on Hawkinson all year long. If you subscribe to our channel, you know that we're fans of Hawkinson. He's been kind of the only late round tight end that has been consistent this year, somewhat consistent. The Jonnu Smiths of the world, the Hayden Hurst, all those guys kind of, I'm blanking on any other names. Those guys are just not really doing it for us right now. They're not consistent. Hawkinson is a locked and loaded top 4 option. Even Mark Andrews, hasn't done much. Tonyan has been great lately. He's got a really good matchup against Detroit. The name I was trying to think of is Mike Gesicki. He's been good lately. It looks like Tua's been targeting him a lot lately, but he went through spurts and periods of getting pretty much zeros. So Aiden is asking, okay, in this team will be the Woods bust week, Deontay Johnson or Allen Robinson? I would go with between Deontay and Allen Robinson. They're both really good. I think Robinson is in for a big share of the workload, so I would go Robinson against Houston. But but Deontay Johnson's not too far behind him. He's still a top 20 wide receiver. It's just that I do think Robinson is a top 10 receiver, so I would go Robinson for both upside and floor. Mike is. We need some more likes, guys. We only have 13 likes. We got a bunch of new people. We got Noah in the chat. What's going on? Luis in the chat. What's going on? Louis. Sorry if I missaid your name. Like this video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. We got to get up to at least 25, 30 likes today. I'll be hanging out for a while. It's already 11:30. It felt like an eternity on Tuesday trying to stream, not on Sunday, but this has gone by really quick. Thanks for the questions, guys, and I appreciate you coming to hang out. Mike, so yeah, he's going to roll with Herbert, had Julio, and so knew the Falcons would suck without him. Yeah, that's a good point. Should I double stack Keenan and Mike Williams or play Lazard? I would go with Keenan and Lazard, I believe. I'm going to check my rankings real quick on where I have. Mike Williams has been good. I think he's in for a good game. But I really do like, I do have Mike Williams ahead. So if you double stack, I don't mind that play. I don't mind that play at all. Some people will go off of Mike Williams like I initially thought. So you have Keenan Allen, and then you have Allen Lazard. I think Allen's in for a big game. He's going to be the second wide receiver option. Whether he's going to be the second option for after Adams to go with Tonyan is the real question. So if he out snaps or out targets Tonyan, I think he's in for a good game and probably in for a touchdown as well. So my gut said to go with Keenan and Lazard. If you want to go by pure rankings, I would go with Keenan and Mike Williams, double stack. And then JD or Fournette over Mike Williams. I would stick with the receivers, dude. Gibson is out, he's going to get all of the non-goal line snaps, PPR. Yeah, I know. J.D. McKissic is a fine play. I think there's a chance. I don't mind J.D. McKissic in a half PPR league or full PPR league, but And I did hear that he was wide receiver eligible in some leagues as well. So let me know if he is that in your league. If he's that, but I guess if it's a flex play, it doesn't matter. But if he's in a wide receiver spot, I don't know. I'm not super big on J.D. McKissic this week. I know he's got a ton of upside. He's been involved all year round. He's going to get dump offs. I do think Peyton Barber is actually the one that's going to be on the goal line rather than J.D. McKissic. Peyton Barber is probably in for 11 to 15 carries. It's not going to be something you're going after in the start, but I think it just gives J.D. McKissic less of a ceiling or less of a floor. Either one. I'm just not super big on McKissic. I know he's popular this week, and he's a big waiver wire guy and all that stuff. But Noah, what's going on? Start 3. All right. Taylor, Swift, and Lockett. Tough one, Noah. I would start Taylor, Swift, and Lockett. Really good question. I appreciate those. You kind of teed it up for me, and I hit a home run with that one. So appreciate that one, Noah. Let me know if you have another question. My dude, I know he's in all the time. I'm just messing with you. So if it's start 2, that's very much tougher between Swift, Taylor, and Lockett. Man, because Lockett hasn't been super safe. So between Lockett, let me just find my ranks here. Between Lockett and Swift, geez, I think I would have to go Tyler Lockett. So between Swift and JT, then I'm going JT. So I'm sitting down Swift. I should have figured that out. I should have known, my dude, because I am big on Jonathan Taylor this week. And Swift, although I think he's great and has a ton of options, I think that you have a chance to have a much safer floor with Jonathan Taylor, and then you go with Tyler Lockett. So all good, my dude. So I know Max on Twitter talking. He's got Mostert versus Duke versus McKissic to join my RB1 Gaskin. He also has Murray starting, but I have Hill stashed and playing against the top team in the league. This is a lot of context, a lot of stuff to go for. I think, man, oh man, Duke Johnson or McKissic, I would go McKissic with Gaskin. But he's got Mostert as well. Holy man, McKissic or Mostert. I still think Mostert is going to be fine, but it's hard to rely on him, especially after he gave us a bust week this past week. Now we have McKissic having this new opportunity with Washington winning football games. I've got J.D. McKissic higher than Mostert this week, so they're in the same matchup. It's very close. I think they're pretty much back-to-back in their rankings. Oh, dude, this is brutal. So with Gaskin, I would go McKissic. If you're in a half PPR league, we've talked about this earlier. We've got guys talking about, we've got Aiden talking about McKissic as well, liking him. I don't mind that play. As for your other spot, you have Kyler Murray and Taysom Hill. Is this going to be one of those options where we see Kyler Murray go off because he's Kyler Murray and he has DeAndre Hopkins, and we're wondering why the heck we would sit Kyler Murray for Taysom Hill, a pumped up tight end? I would go Kyler Murray versus the New York Giants. I mentioned this before and in the podcast that the New York Giants have kind of been, maybe teams haven't taken them too seriously. Like how the Chiefs the first time around didn't take the Vegas Raiders too seriously and they lost the game. I don't think anyone's messing around with the Giants anymore. The Seattle Seahawks did, and they lost to the Giants. I think it's going to be a very competitive game, which makes, I'm not saying that Arizona Cardinals win this game, but I think they are well prepared and they don't mess around. And Kyler Murray has a good game against the Giants and gets the ball out quick. They know they have a quick pass rush. I think they're going to be ready, and Kyler Murray has a better game. And against Philadelphia, the issue is that Philadelphia might not score 1 point. I mean, that's unlikely. But the New Orleans defense is very good. They're playing against a rookie quarterback. I'm not sure how to project it because I can't wait to watch Jalen Hurts play. I think he's a very talented quarterback. But now they have all week to go up and to prepare for Jalen Hurts. They're going to contain him. He's not going to be able to run. He's going to be forced to throw the football. And it could just be a running attack, the power run game, the Alvin Kamara and Latavius Murray show. They might not need to throw the football. I don't think they force Taysom Hill to run either because they know they're going to have to run so much. So I think Kyler Murray, although Taysom Hill might have a safer floor, I think you got to go ceiling play with Kyler since you're playing the best team in your league, my dude. So let me know if that makes sense to you. We've got a lot of the regular crew in. Thanks for coming by on a Saturday morning. I hope everyone's having a great time. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel if you are new. I'm going to get to every single question you have and give you my analysis and figure out what to do with all these questions, because Louis there had a really good question with context. If you tell me if you're favored to win, or you let me know if it's a PPR standard league, all that stuff, that helps as well. Make the decisions and helps me talk through and work it out on who you should start in your playoffs. So Griffin, Keenan, another great steal I've seen in drafts. Same with Diggs. People just seem to forget how good they are. Yeah, man, I got Keenan in a lot of leagues for a value this past year in Dynasty, and he's been great. Stephon Diggs as well. I wasn't the biggest Stephon Diggs believer. I'm a believer now, let me tell you that. Good luck in the playoffs, everyone. Griffin's telling them about his draft. And Blaine, yo. Yeah. Okay, sounds good. I'm going to, the video's getting a little bit bad, guys, so I'm going to switch account here and go and see everything in the control room so that the video's a little bit better. I had to take some coffee anyways. Yep, sounds good. Now head into the control room here. Live view and control room. I'll get to everyone's questions here real quick. We have 20 viewers, guys. I'm back. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're new to the stream. We are, I'll get to every single question of yours. If you're new to the Snap Fantasy Football Podcast, thanks for coming by. We're going to put out some really great content every week. We've got rookie analysis coming at you fast and hard. We'll do some highlight films for them, some film analysis and projections on the draft. We also do a live draft show as well, so come by for that if you're new to our channel. Thanks for coming by. So I'm going to find the questions I have. We have tons of questions. Thanks a lot, guys. This has been a great Saturday stream. Blaine Hansel, he's got Claypool or Higgins, my dude. I would go with Claypool this week. Claypool, we know he's got the upside. We have a rookie quarterback for the Bengals. Claypool has a safe floor and ceiling, I think. His ceiling is massive. He can take anything to the house, and he has Big Ben throwing him the football. That's kind of where I lean on those rookie players. UGA Bulldog, half PPR. Curtis Samuel, Sterling Shepard, Juju, Nelson Aguilar, Brashad Perriman, Miles Sanders. You had to throw Miles Sanders in there. Oh, man. I Miles Sanders for these guys. So, man. All right. Juju or Sterling Shepard this week. I think I would go with Juju Smith-Schuster against Buffalo. I think that presents to be a pretty good shootout. I think that Josh Allen has a chance to score, which makes Big Ben pass the football, and that's why I like Claypool and Juju this week. Between Juju and Miles Sanders, that's gonna be a tough one. I think there's a chance. I know that it came out that Miles Sanders likes to run the play option play with Jalen Hurts. Is excited, but I'm starting Miles Sanders in a spot, but it's really because I have no other options. I'm sitting down Miles Sanders if I have other options. So I would go Juju on that that scenario between Juju and Curtis Samuel, like I mentioned earlier, I think Curtis Samuel is in line for a bigger opportunity with Christian McCaffrey still out. He'll be in the backfield. He'll be in the slot. He'll be jet sweeps. He'll do everything. But I'm still going Juju Smith-Schuster in that scenario. The only other option, I guess, I would just go Juju, my dude, UGA Bulldog. I would go Juju. If you're picking one, and potentially Juju, Sanders, Samuel in that order. I know Brashad Perriman has a ton of upside, but he's not the safest play. You have too many studs there to really consider Brashad Perriman in that scenario. So, Deputy Dong, thanks for coming by. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel. I'll get to every single question. We have tons of questions, so thank you for coming by. Tannehill over Kyler. I'm planning on going Tanny, just kind of worried about Kyler blowing up. That is always a scenario. Mackenzie is dealing with that same option. He's actually facing me in this scenario where I have Kyler against Scott. Mackenzie has Kyler against me. So either way, I don't know what to do either. I mean, I don't know what they should do. I don't know what I want them to do because Kyler has a total opportunity to have a boom game. We can see it. He was a fantasy MVP for half of the season, not busting out one time, but then he had that shoulder injury and he's not running as much. He's not really pushing the ball downfield either because DeAndre Hopkins is running 10-yard curl routes. And that's it. It's embarrassing. I think there's a chance that happens. So Tannehill is someone I have ranked higher, Deputy Dong. I would technically go Tannehill because there's a very good chance of a shootout in that game. The New York Giants defense is very good. They get after the quarterback, and they contained Russell Wilson this past week. I'm going off of Narrative Street saying that the Arizona Cardinals are going to prepare like crazy and have a good game and not take them lightly. But that's a narrative. It could be that the Giants are just good. They're just good at football. And it doesn't matter if you prepare for them or not. They're going to roll over the Cardinals. That's possible. So, really in that scenario, Tannehill is the floor play. Kyler is definitely the ceiling. There's no question about it. But there's a chance where none of us would be surprised if he puts up a 14-point game and Tannehill just puts up a 28-point game and you're just like, Kyler lost me week 1 of the playoffs. But you can't feel bad because he got you there, my dude. You can't feel bad because Kyler got you into the playoffs. UJ Bulldog also has a question. He's got Mark Andrews and Robert Tonyan. This might be a question for Mackenzie, but it's hard to sit Mark Andrews down. He is the stud pass catcher in Baltimore, but I would go Tonyan. I would go Tonyan because the quarterback is better at throwing the football when it comes down to it. Aaron Rodgers has been on fire. They play the Lions. It's going to be a shootout. I don't think anyone can cover anyone in this game. It's going to be a fun game to watch. Who would have thought the NFC North battle between Detroit and the Packers is going to be so good? I'm expecting that the Packers win this game, but and I think that what we've seen from Tonyan lately is that you can't really sit him down. And Mark Andrews was banged up, so that's kind of where I would go. So, producer Mac in my ear talking that Mark Andrews has a safer floor in this scenario. So, and Mac would know he watches the most Packers out of anyone and probably has Tonyan in a couple leagues. But Andrews, I think, will get more targets than Tonyan. So, if you need a floor play, and I know that Mark Andrews still has touchdown upside, but like I mentioned, the Green Bay Packers as a whole has more touchdown upside because of what I just said about that game. So Tonyan has the upside because he can take a big play. He could take a 40-yard touchdown kind of thing, where Mark Andrews is more of a safe play, getting more targets. He's still the number 1 pass catcher for Lamar Jackson, but it's a lower volume offense. So Oscar is asking Claypool, Mike Williams, or Boyd. I would go with Chase Claypool in that scenario. Boyd was a weird one this past week. He took one 70-yard touchdown to the house, and then he got kicked out of the game. I think Boyd was a very safe option with Burrow at quarterback, but I'm going to sit down Boyd in the scenario. The order I would have them ranked is where you have it. Claypool, Mike Williams, and Boyd. It's a half PPR league. Oscar, thanks for coming. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and thank you very much for coming by. Jason, what's good, my dude? So I need to start his lineup. 1 PPR, 1 QB, 2 running back, 2 flex. Let me see. I can find Jason here. There we go. Jason. Lamar Jackson, Big Ben. So between those guys, I would probably go with Lamar Jackson. I just got to check my rankings really quick here, my dude. I would go with Lamar Jackson against Cleveland. Good start. He's got Gallman, Rojo, Melvin Gordon, Mike Davis. So out of those guys, we talked about Gallman earlier. He's got some safe floor, safe volume. He's got Rojo, which I think is going to be fine. Between Melvin Gordon and Mike Davis, I think it's a tough one. It's tricky here to start your whole lineup on a stream, but I'm going to do my best here, my guy. I'm going to do my best. So I would go with Ronald Jones, and I would go with Wayne Gallman in that scenario as your running backs, and then as your wide receivers, he's got Mike Evans, Deontay Johnson, Terry McLaurin, T.Y. Hilton, Cole Beasley. You're going to start Kelsey, yep, and New Orleans D, yep. So I believe Mike Evans is going to play. He was questionable going into this week. So I don't blame you if you want to sit down Mike Evans because of his questionable status. Terry McLaurin had one bad game over the entire season. Now people are questioning him as a wide receiver. I think he's still going to be a good spot. I would go with Terry McLaurin and Deontay Johnson in that scenario. And then do I need a flex play? In one flex, then I would go probably Mike Evans in the flex. You can choose between Mike Davis as well. I think Mike Davis has a pretty safe floor. I'm going to just quickly compare Mike Davis and Mike Evans and see what my rankings and projections say this week, and it would be to go with Mike Evans. I think Mike Davis is going to be a fine spot, but we've seen him have bust games also. So I'm going to go back up. Hopefully that helps. You can get us on our DMs if you need more help about your start sits. It's snap_fantasy on Twitter and Instagram. Thanks for everyone coming by. Make sure to like the video. We got 21 likes. We got 17 viewers watching right now. So thanks for coming by. This has been a great stream so far. And I will stop once we stop getting questions. Let's see here. I got to find the chat where we are. Yo, Brandon, what's going on? Should I play at the flex? He's got Kiki QT, Mike Williams, or Alan Lazard. I answered a similar question earlier. I do really like both Alan Lazard and Mike Williams. I think Mike Williams is in a really good spot this week. I think Herbert really comes back and breaks and wins people a matchup. I think that's a very good possibility that Herbert bounces back this week. I'm starting Herbert over Kyler Murray. No question this week. No question. And in that scenario between QT, even though he had a big game, I would still go with Mike Williams. Mike Williams over that. Oh, you have T.Y. Hilton. Did I see you have T.Y. Hilton as well? Oh, that was someone else. No, he's got Lazard. Yeah, I would go Mike Williams over those guys. So, Brandon, thanks for coming by. Make sure to like the video and subscribe. Where do we like? There's a little thumbs up, Louis, on the stream. So if you're on your phone, it should be there as well. Like the video and go to our channel and subscribe to the channel as well. Click the little bell button because that gives you notifications on when we go live. Because sometimes we just do it a surprise Saturday stream and we have a great time. So, there we go. Mac is answering those questions. AJ Bruno. Flex. Curtis Samuel, AB, James Conner, Kiki QT. I'm up 12 points with a 2-week playoff game. PPR. I like these 2-week playoffs. I think it makes it fun. You're not out of this week. In the Scott Fish Bowl, they use week 1 of the playoffs as your season average plus your week 13 score, which is also a lot of fun. Promotes consistency throughout the year instead of a bad team sneaking in and having a big week. So I think that's a really cool way of doing it as well. AJ Bruno, that's a really tough one. I think AB had a potential good opportunity with Mike Evans out, but now that Mike Evans is expected to play, and same with Godwin, and then there's still Gronk. I don't have the utmost confidence in AB. There's a chance that Tom Brady forces him the football again and gives him 13, 15 targets, but I think he's too much inconsistent, even though you're up 12 points. So I would go James Conner out of those options. I think James Conner is back and expected to play. Besides James Conner, I think my gut is saying Curtis Samuel to have a big game with DJ Moore out and with Christian McCaffrey out. I think Curtis Samuel is very much involved. We saw him do that early in the season, putting up consistent 20-point games. He's kind of disappeared since then, but I think Curtis Samuel is a pretty safe play. QT, we saw a big game from QT. I used to really like QT. I thought he was going to be the number 2 wide receiver there. That was before Brandon Cooks came by. But I think he's in for a decent performance. But if you're going for a floor play because you're up so many points, I would go with James Conner, Samuel, AB, then QT last, AJ. So that's what I would do, but you got to go with your gut here. This is week 1 of the playoffs. If you have a really good feeling about QT or Antonio Brown, you got to go with those guys. David, what's going on, David? He has Lazard. I've been waiting for him to start him, but he keeps coming up as questionable every week, and it's affecting his play. Al Lazard was out for quite a while. He's now back. I think you can now start Lazard. They give questionable statuses to guys that just miss practice because they need rest. So I wouldn't look in too much of the questionable status. We will give you live updates tomorrow when there's 2 hosts. Mac is my co-host and is going to be on with me. And we'll have more up-to-date injury reports, some weather. We need to look into weather. This is getting the time of year where the weather starts getting bad. You don't want to start a kicker in a snowstorm. Pro tip. So, I still think Lazard's going to be in a good spot. He's had good games with a questionable status. I think Lazard is in a really good spot this week to have a big one. So, also PPR format, no big deal, Brandon. I think I gave you the right advice there, despite the PPR. None of those guys are PPR monsters, including Mike Williams and Lazard. I think QT might have the most targets. So if you consider it's a PPR league, QT might have the most targets, so it might bump him up a little bit. But Brandon, get into our DMs. We're Snap_Fantasy on Instagram, so we can help you out with that. You might need to request to send us a DM, but I will accept that. Brandon, Robert De Niro, he's always a fan of the show. Bobby De Niro. Flex spot, he's got Jerry Jeudy, Sammy Watkins, Marquise Brown, Alan Lazard, Kalen Ballage. Jerry Jeudy is a sit for me. He hasn't done much for us lately. And Marquise Brown is, this is tough. You've got a really tough decision there, Bobby De Niro. Although I like Alan Lazard, I've been talking about him a lot. Between Jeudy and Lazard, I think it's probably going to say Lazard in my rankings and my projections because Jeudy just hasn't been great, yeah. And then between Lazard and Marquise Brown. So the thing is, Marquise Brown has seen an uptick in targets, but we saw the number 1 target, Mark Andrews, be out. So Lazard and Brown are pretty much back-to-back in the ranks. So I think there's a chance that Marquise Brown is just catching fire and is doing well, but it now could be that Mark Andrews is the target leader in that offense, kind of like what he was before. So if you are looking for pure upside, I do think it's Lazard over Marquise Brown, surprisingly enough. But my rankings do say Marquise Brown ahead. He still has upside per se, but just there's less, like we compared Robert Tonyan before. There's less targets available in the Baltimore Ravens offense. It could just be a running game. It just might not be that great of a game script for Marquise Brown. So yeah, Alan Lazard for the upside. I think it's Alan Lazard either way over Marquise Brown. I'm not into Marquise Brown this week. I'm going to sit him down if I have him. But yeah, that's what I would do. It's a tough one there, Robert. Sam Rosenbaum, what is going on? Thanks for coming by to the show. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, click the little bell button if you want notifications every time we go live. Sometimes we do these impromptu lives, especially when I'm in quarantine and I'm having a good time. There's lots of people liking and watching, and we're going live again tomorrow as well for 2 hours. So it's going to be a long one. For my PPR flex position, should I go Mike Davis, Antonio Brown, Chase Edmonds, and Myles Gaskin? I would go, it's between, for me, even though it's PPR league, it's between Gaskin and Mike Davis for me. I think Mike Davis is in a really good spot without Christian McCaffrey, but Myles Gaskin has been getting that volume. I would go with Myles Gaskin in your flex spot. So that's 100% what I would do. I think Myles Gaskin is in a really, really good spot this week, even against a tough Kansas City defense. Matt Mincy, thanks for coming by to the channel. He's got a pick 2 question. He's in a PPR league. Brandon Cooks, Juju Smith-Schuster, Cole Beasley, or J.K. Dobbins. I think in a PPR league, I'm just going to sit down J.K. Dobbins out of this list. Again, we only saw him get 30% snap share. Out of anyone, J.K. Dobbins has the biggest chance to boom this week because of how good he's been. But I still don't have the confidence in J.K. Dobbins to be a consistent running back for you. It's possible that they just give it back to Gus Edwards and Mark Ingram, and that would just be heartbreaking. So in a PPR league, it's nice to go with some wide receivers. Cole Beasley has been on fire. Cole Beasley is a good option. He got us through in the second round of the playoffs in Scott Fishbowl. Now, Beasley, for me, is still a flex play. So I would go with, Juju Smith-Schuster and Brandon Cooks. So do I have to pick one? Hold on. Pick 2. No. Brandon Cooks and Juju is what I would do. It's tough. It's tough to go away from Beasley, but that's what I would do. That's what my rankings say. Jason, I talked to you about your lineup already. David Wellen, we've got CD Lamb, Antonio Brown, Russell Gage with Julio out or QT. I think CD Lamb presents a decent floor and upside. But let's see here. Let me look at my ranks here, my dude. You've got CD Lamb, Antonio Brown, Russell Gage, QT. It's between Lamb and QT for me. Out of your option, I love the talent of Lamb, but you kind of need to rely on efficiency with Dallas because he doesn't get the volume he used to, and it's really tough to see because CD Lamb is one of the best prospects we've seen in a long time. Against Cincinnati, I think that there's a chance that the Dallas Cowboys really try to make a statement against a fairly easy Bengals defense. So I would go Lamb, but I'm going to check here between Lamb and Antonio Brown what my rankings say, and I have a feeling they're going to say, it says Antonio Brown versus Minnesota. Yeah, so my flex play would be then Antonio Brown. I never thought I would say that, but you're hoping he gets those targets that he got a few weeks back, my dude. You're hoping he gets those targets, the 11 targets, the Tom Brady forcing him the football in a full PPR league. That's going to do it. Mac answered that question. He went Lamb, QT, Brown, and Gage. So I'm kind of on the same, my initial gut reaction was the same page as Mac, but my rankings say Antonio Brown. So you got to go with your gut there between the two analysts. I think Mac is probably on the right page there. Hopkins or Mike Davis at flex. You got to go with Hopkins, Mason. Go with DeAndre Hopkins. So we've got some same situations. That's great. Paul Krasinski, what is going on? Thanks for coming by, Paul. I hope you're still around. I can cover this right now. He's in a full PPR league. He's got Kenyon Drake, QT, or Devontae Parker. I would go with Kenyon Drake in a full PPR. Then it's going to be Devontae Parker, then QT. I still think Devontae Parker can get the targets from Tua. It's not going to be as consistent as if Fitzpatrick was in at quarterback. But Kenyon Drake has been getting some pretty decent work. He's got touchdown upside. He's gonna be fine. In a PPR league, it does make it closer, but I think it's still going to be Kenyon Drake, the running back, for the safe floor. Gwen Tran is asking, should I start Eckler or Carson? I would start Eckler over Carson, but those are two stud running backs. You probably have a really good one as your running back one, because generally I would want to start both of those guys. KFK, what's up? I'm back. What's going on, KFK? I'm pretty much all caught up to the chat. We've got some guys I've seen plenty of times. Nils, I haven't seen you before. He's got a good question. Gallman or Jacobs? I really don't want to sit Jacobs, but you choose. You're going to make me choose. So I know producer Scott, is a big fan of Josh Jacobs this week, but he's been banged up. Nils, I'm not super confident. I wasn't confident that he was going to play this week with a bit of a mid to high ankle sprain. Normally guys are out a week or two, but obviously it's not that bad of an injury, so he should play. Even when he plays, I think he's going to get some split work with Devontae Booker. Now, we know that Jacobs always has touchdown upside, and he will get the goal line work. But in this scenario, I would go with Gallman over Jacobs because we know that Gallman's going to get the opportunity. The Cardinals are not going to be the best run defense to face up against. So I would go Gallman over Jacobs, and you got to sit down Jacobs in the first round of your playoffs. I know it's tough to sit your studs, but that's what I would do. At the end of the day, Nils, you got to be the one making that decision. You can't always, there's always a chance that player A gets hurt the first play of the game and is out for the rest of the game, and there you go. Or there's a play where, the backup, or there's one play, efficiency could make a difference where it could be Gallman the entire game, and then Jacobs breaks off a 30-yard touchdown, and then the choice is Gallman. So you got to go with your gut. If you would feel sick like Scotty was sitting down Jacobs and him going off a big game, go with your stud. If you go with my analysis on that Gallman's going to get the more work than Jacobs, go with Gallman. Gaming, JML, he's back. Landry or Deontay, I would go Deontay. Gallman or Zeke, I would go Zeke. Thomas Anderson, I would go Zeke in that scenario. Make sure everyone subscribes. The Chosen Rose at Flex is asking a great question. They have Parker, Landry, Gio Bernard, Lazard, or Gallup. I would probably go Landry out of those options. I think Gio's in a pretty good start versus Baltimore, but Landry's been on fire. I know he's not playing he's playing a pretty tough defense, but I would go with Landry for the Chosen Rose. It's tough. I've talked a lot about Lazard. I think Gallup is a sit. Gio Bernard is a decent floor play. Gallup has a chance to hopefully, or Parker, has a chance to do well, but the safest play is going to be Landry. I would go Landry, Gio, Parker, Lazard in that order. Matt Mincy, I'm all caught up to the chat, so thanks so much for coming by. Make sure to like this video if you haven't already. I'm going to be done pretty soon. I got to have some breakfast, have some lunch. I'm just here drinking some coffee. Matt, which defense should I start? What defense do you start, Matt? He's got Kansas City versus Kansas City. They play the Miami Dolphins. Niners against the Washington football team, or the Bucs against the Vikings. I am a Vikings fan. So am I. Hence my Dick's jersey. Minnesota Miracle, my dude. Love that. Producer Scott is also a Vikings fan. Did I say Bucs fan? I'm a Vikings fan. So is producer Scott. He used to be a Bucs fan. I believe the best play out of those defenses, they're all pretty good plays, but I would probably, my instinct initially is going to say the Kansas City Chiefs against the 49ers. That's kind of what I would do right away. Now, yeah, I think that's the Chiefs against Miami. My bad. Sorry, Chiefs against Miami. And then next, I would go with the Buccaneers because we know Kirk Cousins can throw the ball to the other team at times, but yeah, he's been very good lately. And then my last one is going to be in my rankings is the Niners versus Washington. Alex Smith is pretty good with the football, so I think the Chiefs are the best play. Tua has been very careful with the football. He has not thrown interceptions, but Andy Reid could scheme for Tua and make him throw that football. That's what I'm hoping. And because the Chiefs are going to score so often, it might also force Tua to throw the football. So they could get after the quarterback, get him sacks, interceptions, all that. And there's always a chance that Fitzmagic comes in at quarterback. And if he comes in at quarterback, although it's great for Devontae Parker, he throws interceptions like it's nobody's business. He is a gunslinger, and it's a great play. So yeah, I would go the Chiefs. Rose C is asking a question. I want to pick up T.Y. Hilton to play over Brandon Cooks, but I also have Booker and Jacobs. Either's ready to go. Your thoughts? Oh, boy, that is tough, Rose. I don't blame you for wanting to pick up T.Y. Hilton. He's been on fire lately. He's gotten touchdowns the past 2 games. He seems to be a fairly steady wide receiver for the fantasy playoffs. I would just stick with Brandon Cooks, though. In that scenario where you have if Jacobs is a last-minute out, I would start Booker in that spot, and then you don't need to worry about T.Y. Hilton. Brandon Cooks, although I did a video on him, and he really didn't break out like we all thought he would with Fuller going out, I still think Brandon Cooks is a very safe play. He's been good all season long, and QT and Chad Henson has been involved. I would just go with Brandon Cooks this week and roll with that, Rose. So good luck, my friend. Good luck on that matchup. If Jacobs is playing and healthy, I think you have to go Jacobs. It's unfortunate. I'm not projecting him to have a massive game. Let me know what other running backs you have as a backup. If Jacobs is active, maybe you go with a Myles Gaskin instead. That's what I would do. 87, Ronald Jones, J.K. Dobbins, or T.Y. Hilton. I would go Ronald Jones, 87. Thanks for coming by. Make sure to like this video. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. J. Fang, start Lamar or Herbert. I would go with Herbert in that scenario. J. Fang. He's got Corey Davis, Gallman, or Gaskin at the flex. I would go with Gaskin at the flex. Vinny, what up, Vinny? What's going on, Vin? He's got Miles Sanders or Devontae Parker. Holy, I have Sanders, Swift, and Melvin Gordon. I was going to go Swift, Gordon, and Parker at the flex. I think you go with your gut. I think you go with your initial instinct, Vinny. Make sure to like this video, by the way. I know you're new to the stream today. I don't know if you're new to the channel, but subscribe and hit that little bell button to get notified when we go live. I think that's what I would do. You can sit down Miles Sanders. If he has a good game on your bench and you win the matchup, then potentially you could play Miles Sanders next week. Now that we can see him with Jalen Hurts, it's going to be kind of a weird game. I can't wait to watch it. I have to start Miles Sanders in a league. I don't want to, but I don't have the good options you do, my dude. I don't have those options. So I think Swift is a good upside play as well. Hopefully it's not a big Saints too. The Saints are great. I'm an Alvin Kamara owner in Dynasty, similar to Mackenzie owned him in a keeper league. So we like watching the Saints. Hopefully Drew Brees comes back. So, I'm sorry for that Minnesota Miracle. I'm sorry, my dude. I didn't mean to bring that up. It seems like the Vikings have the number of the Saints lately in the playoffs the past 2 games. I don't mean it personally, but it's just that they should not beat. I think if the Saints can beat the Vikings in the past 2 years, I think they go to the Super Bowl. So, it looks like my video's not doing well. So hopefully the the video isn't too choppy. I just got a notification that we're not receiving enough video to maintain a good stream. So I think this is pretty much done for the stream today, guys. It's 12:15 Eastern time. I'm going to get to all these questions first, and then I will be heading off because I guess my internet's not too good up here. Yeah. All right, guys. I'll answer all these questions, and then I'll head off. Jan Philippe Zahn. I need a flex, half PPR, Mostert, T.Y. Hilton, AB, Miles Sanders, Barber. Shoot. That is tricky, my guy. That is tricky. Not a big Mostert fan. I thought he was going to be better, but he's not. Between T.Y. Hilton, AB, Miles Sanders, I'd probably go with T.Y. Hilton, Miles Sanders, AB in that order. John Philippe. That's what I would do. And then Mostert before. I would say Mostert before Miles Sanders, I guess. So T.Y. T.Y., Mostert, Miles, AB. That's what I would do. 87, yes. Thank you, everyone. You're already down 0-41. He has Cook, Tyreek left. Otherwise, his bad. My studs are Robinson, Adams, and Mahomes. Fingers crossed. For pure upside play, then, John Philippe, I would just go. Oh man, geez, is Miles Sanders even an upside play anymore? I don't know. I think Ty still has the upside play out of anyone. We've seen him lately. It's hard for me to believe in the Miles Sanders hype, the T.Y. Hilton hype. I'm a big Michael Pittman fan, but then I would go with, So I would still agree with that. I know Miles Sanders has upside. We just haven't seen it lately. Mostert has upside too. He could take anything to the house, but he's getting a shared workload. It's possible that he gets the majority of the work. If he does, if he gets 60% snap share, John Philippe, then Mostert is the guy. But it's we just haven't seen it lately. So you're in a tricky spot. It's gonna be tough. You're already down by a bundle, and he's got some Tyreek Hill, which is never fun to play against. So good luck, my dude. Very, very much good luck. It's going to be a tough one there, but I agree with my initial ranking. But at the end of the day, you got to go with your gut. You got to go with who you believe in the first round of the playoffs. If you love the waiver wire guy you picked up, start him. If you want to start your stud, even though he hasn't been performing, start your stud. Don't be a Scott that regrets his starts and sits. Right? That's something to live by. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell button. We're on Instagram and Twitter at snap_fantasy. We have a podcast as well. It's the Snap Fantasy Football Podcast on Apple and on Spotify and iHeartRadio. We're everywhere. Mac and I do some videos, and Scotty, producer Scott, does a great job, and he is on the podcast as well from time to time. So thanks a lot, guys. Good luck in your playoffs. We will see you tomorrow for 2 hours before kickoff to get your most up-to-date injury news, weather, all that stuff. So thanks for coming by, and we will see you next time.